Hello and welcome to Roosevelt Rebel with your host, Tisa Rebel Beltran. I know that I was producing at least 2 episodes a week because school started back up. I have not been able to, and I have a heavier caseload, that's work, heavier workload for school because I also am starting to volunteer for my classes because the classes, I think I've said before, are service learning courses where you have to volunteer. So, 2 of them are actually service learning, and one of them I have to produce a special project for human trafficking, which I really need to start working on. I just remembered that today when I was going through my work. But, I will talk about my volunteer work once I start. My class date is on the 6th to get ready to start volunteering. That's my birthday weekend, and so I need to figure out how this is going to work. That is going to work because it's my birthday weekend. So it's gonna smack dab in the middle of my celebrating. Anyhow, so I want to talk about today about what I am learning this week in my cultural psychology course. So, what I am learning this week is about culture, self, and identity. So there's this thing called false uniqueness. I haven't really heard of it described as this, but this is what the official term of it is. False uniqueness is perceptions primarily about people who need or desire to see oneself better than others. So they want to be better than others and think that they're better than others, and they're trying to perceive and put themselves out there as having it together, having the family, having the job, having the car, having all of these things when they do not have that. But that is what they want to put out into the world. So I find it quite interesting, and because I used to feel that way. I used to feel that I had to put the self-image out there to be better than others, that I'm doing something. And then I found myself and was like, I don't need to prove to anybody anything as long as I am whole within myself, which I am. I am whole within myself, and I am just looking for things to do to pass not pass the time, but more like to things that I want to experience before I pass, basically. I guess that's the same thing. Because as you are getting older, you want to experience the things that you've always wanted to experience. And from being the age that I am, which isn't that old, I'm halfway there to, as statistics have shown. Unless I die earlier, who knows what's going to happen. But, my father is 85, 84, and there's things that he talks about that he's always wanted to do. And as a man that provided for his whole entire family his whole life and is continuing working at the age that he is, that brings him joy. But I also don't want to have any lost regrets. I don't want to regret anything. I don't want to not be like, well, I wish I would have done that. I want to actually be able to do those things, but it's not something that I want to do to throw in people's faces and make sure that I'm better than other people. It's just for myself. Because I know that there's a lot of people out there that do it they think that they're better than everybody else and think that they're special, like they're any different. All of us are the same. The only difference is our experience. And if you're trying to make someone feel shitty for who they are, then you're, better think twice about who you are. Because that shouldn't matter, making people feel bad about who they are. Or that they're not better than you and that they need to keep up with you, or if you don't have certain dreams, then, then you're not worth it. So this week's work, basically spoke to me because I have been around people that are like, well, if they're not on my level, fuck them. I'm not going to be around them. And it's basically, I understand that viewpoint of where, like, you need to surround yourself with people who have equal wants and needs so that they push you and you push each other. But not as a point as well, a competition, basically. Like if I was working out at the gym and I had somebody going with me and it was a constant competition, I would fucking beat them because that's annoying. And it's not a competition with them, it's a competition within yourself. And it's not, I'm trying to be better than this person. They did this, so I need to do it. Because I've been around people who are like that, and I've gotten many complaints about people who are like that. And so basically, it's about the false uniqueness, because they're not unique, but they're trying to be. They're wanting to be unique. See, this is what I always think about mental illness. I feel like mental illness has a lot to do with needs and wants, and not so much mental illness, but as in needing of attention, but then that goes back to mental illness. This is all the stuff that I'm learning. And it just like, I see myself in a past where I was posting constantly online, and I look back at like some memories. I'm like, why was I even posting these things? But I'm also like 10 years older now. And it was a time in my life where like my person and I think it was like 10 years ago exactly, we separated, and I just didn't know who I was. So for, I think like 5-6 years, I was posting a lot about everything that I did everywhere I went. And I did draw attention to myself because I had people that followed me. And yes, I understand that I am considered, as my friend tells me, a public figure because I was in the spotlight all the time, doing open mics, doing music. Son of a bitch. I didn't think this was happening today because it's Sunday. Let's turn that down. And so I did do it for musical stuff. I did do that. So yes, I understand that I'm a public figure more so than, I thought that I was, because I was just like, oh, I'm just posting. But like people actually followed me, and like people followed where I was going. People went to my gigs. People bug me to this day to get back out there and to get back to playing in public because they miss seeing me in public. But I was constantly posting, and it was just a lot of, I didn't know where to put my energy into something. And so I put my energy into posting online. And plus, all this was somewhat brand new 10 years ago. 10, 15 years ago, like Facebook was brand new. Facebook was mostly for students, if you've seen the movie, but I was actually living it in real life. It was for students, and it was a way to get in touch with people in your schooling, and they had classified ads and everything like that. It was really cool. So, yeah. But there was one in here. So I'm reading a study right now. And it came across a line that means a lot to me. For one, because Americans are so hung up on negative things that have happened to other people that they think happened to them. It happened to the country, yeah, like this is something, but it didn't, you're not really affected by it. So I'm going to read a paragraph of this thing that I am reading, the study or paper that I am reading. And it says, even in matters of subjective opinion and emotions, people tend to see themselves as better than the average. During the 1970s, an era when racial attitudes were shifting towards increased tolerance and acceptance, people believed they were personally less prejudiced than the average residents in their own towns. So, we're going to just do this, like, you get that. I don't think that I need to read into that, because people do feel that they have to. That's why with this movement right now, the All Lives Matter, the bullshit, and the Black Lives Matter, it's not about asking your black friends, hey, what can I do to do better? Or I'm just going to throw money at this. Don't fucking do any of that shit. It's not about doing for, it's about doing. I don't know how to explain it. I wish that I could have somebody explain it better, because I can't get it out of my head. Basically, like, basically, like, okay, I don't even know how to explain this because it's going to go too far. But the next one, I'm going to go to the next one, because the Black Lives Matter fucking movement is really dear to my heart, because of the fact that it also affects me as a Mexican, as a Native person, because we are also not seen as equal. But if you saw a black person and a Mexican person fighting, and the cops came to separate the fight, the person that would get arrested or handcuffed would be the black person, not the Mexican person. So there's a difference and similarities there with the struggle, but the Black lives are definitely at worst because there's more hatred. But anyhow, I didn't want to get too deep in that. But the one that I am fucking totally about, because I am very much a semi-conspiracy theorist to a semi-level, because I know people who are way worse than me, and like, I question their sanity. Because the truth is out there, question everything, yada yada yada. But anyhow, so the September 11th terrorist attacks, most Americans believe they were more upset than their fellow citizens by the events of the day, as if they were all uniquely touched by the tragedy. I laugh about this one because I've known people that like mourn that day, and they're like, oh, and it's like, but it affected the nation. It didn't affect you. And I found it so strange that this person and these people are like crying on this day. Yes, it is sad that these people lost their lives. Yes, I understand all of these things. I'm not a heartless person. But dude, Americans tend to cry and stay focused on these things and not move forward. And I understand, it's been 20 years since 9/11 last year, I understand, like, oh, let's mourn, that's, it's a long time. But dude, get over it. You're not any more unique than anybody else. It happened to everyone. This is what this paper is basically telling me. And people tend to try to be better than everybody else, try to be more unique. That's why there's athletes, for one. That's why there are musicians, because you have to believe that you're better than everybody else. But in all reality, there are some people that are cocky as fuck that are musicians that I know and do believe that they're better than everybody else, but they're not. I even had a fucking memory on Facebook the other day saying that. It was just yesterday, actually. A person's thinking that they were better than everybody else, and then they went up on stage, and I was like, what the hell is this? And everybody was like, what the fuck? Because it's about just fake uniqueness, fake. And I think that